CM Punk stands tall. AEW secures their long term future. It's all here on the 19th episode of the Wrestling is Bullshit Report. Welcome in, everybody, and let's talk about what has surprisingly been an eventful week in the world of professional wrestling. A huge WWE week, as you all know. So let's get into it. You guys know how we do. We start with the results. So let's do it. The Miz and Seth Rollins steal the show on Raw, on two separate occasions, of course. You see, Awesome Truth was in a tag team match, and in this match, The Miz formally turned on tag team partner R-Truth, ending Awesome Truth. And it looks like we're getting a heel Miz again, which is, of course, the best Miz. Maybe a feud with former tag team partner R-Truth is lined up. We will find out, but The Miz has formally turned on R-Truth. And then Seth freaking Rollins has made his return as well, getting involved in the last monster standing match between Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is the reason that Seth freaking Rollins has been out of action as of recent. So Seth returned the favor here and ensured that Braun Strowman won this last monster standing match. So we will see what lies ahead on Monday Night Raw. Sooner rather than later, we got Seth Rollins back and we got heel Miz back. Interesting. We got Trick Williams on the very first episode of NXT on the CW, the new home of NXT. It's a new era in NXT. And in the first episode, like I said, Trick Williams was able to regain the NXT Championship by defeating All Ego Ethan Page. Trick is a fantastic NXT champion. All Ego had a nice run with the title, but I think the title fits Trick a little bit better right now. In fact, I was getting a little bored with All Ego's championship reign, and I'm a huge fan of Ethan Page. I don't know what it was. I think I was getting a little old of the NXT and the mundane weekly, same spot, same fans. It was, a middle point between NXT 2.0, which was pretty abysmal, and then what is to be this new era of NXT on the CW. It was a middling point, and I was tired of it. But now that NXT is going to be touring, now that we seemingly have a new logo, new championships, new era, essentially, I think NXT is on the up and up, and I don't think they have been recently until now. So, yeah, Trick Williams is a two-time NXT champion. Shelton Benjamin is all elite. This is no surprise, as MVP recently made his AEW debut as well. It looks like we're going to be getting a Hurt Business of sorts. They may not call it the Hurt Business because WWE probably trademarked that name, but we'll be getting something similar on the AEW product, and it will probably include Shelton Benjamin. Will it include Swerve Strickland, who is MVP's number one priority right now? We'll find out. Will it include Bobby Lashley? Is Bobby Lashley soon to be all elite? I think there's a pretty good chance of that too. We'll see what lies ahead, guys, but Shelton Benjamin alongside MVP is all elite, and the Hurt Business is coming, whatever we end up calling them. And then we had a pretty damn special episode of SmackDown this past Friday. We had two matches of significance. Michin taking on Chelsea Green in a dumpster match, which was a lot of good fun. Michin getting the win here in her hometown. And it was pretty awesome. Pretty cool spots. An awesome spot to end the match. Good fun, man. Good fun. These women can wrestle, man. Michin is very underrated. And then I feel like Chelsea Green gets her flowers more than Michin, but she deserves to be a WWE Women's Champion or Women's World Champion sometime down the line. She's been taking a lot of losses lately, and of course, that's not a reflection on her as a wrestler. I think her time is coming. It's just not here yet when it comes to wins and losses. But man, she's a talented pro wrestler, sports entertainer, whatever you want to call her. She's very talented. Takes the loss to Michin here, who's highly underrated. Solid. And then the Bloodline. Tamatanga and Tangaloa, formerly known as the Gorillas of Destiny, defend the WWE Tag Team Championship in a triple threat ladder match against DIY and the Street Profits. Did the match cook? Yeah, it did. It delivered, man. That was an awesome match, right? Triple threat tag team ladder match for the belts. And the Bloodline, of course, retains. They're on a fantastic reign with these WWE tag team titles right now. Really good stuff here on SmackDown. Special episode, in my opinion. These two matches were utterly fantastic. This was 24 hours before WWE Bad Blood, where CM Punk defeated Drew McIntyre in a Hell in a Cell match. This is the third encounter between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre when it comes to matches. And it looks like CM Punk has closed out the feud. CM Punk won 2 matches, Drew McIntyre won 1 match. It all boiled down to the Hell in a Cell match, which was fantastic. The best part about WWE Bad Blood by far, in my opinion at least. You know, the main event saw Roman Reigns, the return of The Rock. That was really cool, and I think that's leading up to Survivor Series War Games next month. But for me, man, the meat and potatoes was CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in Hell in a Cell. And that was a awesome match, right? Long-term booking, done perfectly. Fantastic. CM Punk is better than ever in terms of his recent comeback to wrestling. Things didn't really work out for him in AEW. And the injury in January kind of made his WWE comeback a bit slow in terms of momentum. But this 3-match feud with Drew McIntyre that they have slowly built puts CM Punk back to where he needs to be. Awesome. We'll see what's next for CM Punk. I know he called out Gunther in the past before we ended up finding out that CM Punk and Drew McIntyre were going to have a third match inside the cell. So I do think CM Punk versus Gunther is right around the corner. Seth Rollins just came back, so CM Punk versus Seth freaking Rollins is probably also right around the corner. But man, he's finally got some momentum, right? I think this is the most momentum that CM Punk has had since he left the business 10 years ago in 2014, 2013 maybe. I don't really remember. But, you know, CM Punk has had some adversity getting back into wrestling over the past few years, and I think that adversity is long gone. That's in the past. That's behind him. He's doing great. It was a great match. It's a great match. That's all for the results, guys. A surprising amount of results this week, right? Very WWE heavy with the launch of NXT's new era, with WWE Bad Blood, which was a solid premium live event, right? Let's get into the news before we get into the watch list. You guys thought that this past week was a very heavy week. Wait till we get into the watch list this week, guys. There's a lot of good matches to consume, to watch. Let's get into it. Let's get into the news first, of course. Quite a bit of news as well. AEW officially streaming on Max in 2025. What will happen with AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision? I think AEW Rampage is bye-bye at the end of 2024. No more AEW Rampage. And I don't think anybody's necessarily upset about that. I think that's just the way things go. I think AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision is plenty. You got a 2-hour show on Wednesday, 2-hour show on Saturday. 4 hours of content. That's good. Plus you got Ring of Honor, which is another 2-hour show. 6 hours total of AEW content on a weekly basis. And that will be on Max, right? AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision will be on TBS and TNT, but they will also be streaming on Max. So if you have a subscription to Max, you'll be able to watch Dynamite and Collision live, which is cool. Here's the doozy. Yes, AEW pay-per-views will be on Max at a discounted rate. I know a lot of people were hoping that AEW pay-per-views would stream for free with a subscription to Max. No, that is not the case. You will be able to stream pay-per-views on Max. It will just be at a discounted rate. Sorry. I'm kind of bummed about that too. I think accessibility is key for AEW in their long-term future. And putting the pay-per-views behind a paywall is not amazing for the accessibility. Don't get me wrong. It's not make or break. I am being really nitpicky right here. But I think a lot of people, including myself, would have preferred to get the pay-per-views with your Max subscription. It's not going to be the case, guys. I'm sorry. We'll see what happens with Ring of Honor. I'm not sure if Honor Club is still going to go on and be a thing. I definitely thought that AEW and Max working together would have meant that Ring of Honor would end up on Max, right? On a weekly basis, and then from a premium live event standpoint as well. We'll find out. I don't think that's going to be the case, but I'm not confirming nor denying. Like, I don't know. We're going to find out in 2025. Again, this is a situation where accessibility is key. So if you're going to put Ring of Honor behind a paywall, then definitely nobody's going to watch that. If you put the pay-per-views behind the paywall, yeah, I think a lot of people will pay up. But Ring of Honor, they haven't really done much to intrigue people. I think Mark Briscoe being the Ring of Honor World Champion is the most interesting thing. Like, I do think there are good things about Ring of Honor, such as Athena holding the Ring of Honor Women's World title for a long time. That's really cool. Seeing a lot of guys sharpen their skills, like Lee Moriarty, who's already fantastic, but he's getting good reps in Ring of Honor. Sammy Guevara, who's already fantastic, but again, sharpening his skills in Ring of Honor. I think there's a lot of good stuff going on, but too much paywall in the world of wrestling right now. And I think something's got to give, right? I would rather get TNA Plus than get Ring of Honor, honestly, personally. The AEW pay-per-views paying for them, once every, it's like once every 6 weeks we get an AEW pay-per-view. You pay $50 or less if you use a VPN. There's a lot of paywall. There's a lot of pay to play in terms of consuming wrestling outside of WWE these days. So I think it would have been in AEW's best interest to put all their content on Max. You get the Max subscription, which most people probably already have. No, that's not going to be the case, guys. It's unfortunate. Like, you'll be able to watch Dynamite and Collision weekly, which I think is good. It's enough to get people involved. But I think it would have been a complete home run for the fans if you would have got the pay-per-views on there, and then if you would have got Ring of Honor on there. I think there's a lot of good stuff happening, especially on the pay-per-views, man. Some of the best wrestling in the world consistently on the AEW pay-per-views. But a lot of people don't pay up. They don't know. You got to show them. You got to make it accessible to them. And yes, it's accessible with Max, and I'm going on a rant as I do a couple times per episode. It's accessible, but help us out. Come on. Okay, let's move on. Let's just move on. WWE has crowned their inaugural Women's Speed Champion. And of course, that episode of WWE Speed has not aired on X, formerly known as Twitter, yet. So I'm not going to say who the champion is, but keep an eye out on a week-to-week basis. Watch WWE Speed, and you will see the Women's Speed Champion crowned. I like the concept of WWE Speed. I think it's really cool, right? Very quick. Social media is very instant and very quick. So WWE Speed fits in perfectly with that. Like, the concept, the idea, the execution even is very good. Do I watch it? No, I don't. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't watch it. I think I just don't use Twitter very much personally. But if I did, I might tune in to WWE Speed. So just because I don't watch it doesn't mean I'm not encouraging you to watch it. I think you should watch it. Let's move on, man. Oh, I don't know how y'all gonna react to this. I'm gonna try to keep it neutral. I feel neutral about it, to be honest. I don't feel negative about this in any way, but I could see how some people may feel negative about this. AJ and Big Justice, the Costco guys, are officially all elite. Apparently, AJ, of course, the father, not the child, was a pro wrestler back in his day. I haven't seen any of his matches, to be honest with you, personally. You guys know I'm not a big indie guy, right? I keep up with WWE, AEW, TNA, and then the international scene of wrestling, such as New Japan, CMLL. Anywho, I'm not familiar with AJ of the Costco guys, but he was a pro wrestler, and he signed with AEW, and he will be doing one more match. Now, the Costco guys have been all over the place, man. They are over when it comes to social media trends. And now that's coming over to AEW. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm kind of neutral, like I said. I see the Costco guys videos on Instagram and TikTok, and it just makes me want a chicken bake. There's nothing wrong with it, right? It's just a father and his son. Think it's pretty cool from some aspects. I'm not looking at it in a negative light nor a positive light. It exists, and it's coming to AEW. And they've been making content with AEW. The Costco guys have been featuring AEW in their content. And yeah, it's smart. AEW is fairly new, right? 5 years young. A lot of people, when I say the words pro wrestling, they think WWE right away. People are getting around to the concept and the existence of AEW, but they still got ways to go. And I think, utilizing AJ and Big Justice, the Costco guys, to get the word out on AEW is really cool. So, yeah, it looks like we'll be seeing the Costco guys on AEW. And we'll see how it goes, right? We haven't seen them on AEW programming yet, so we don't know. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see if it's solid or we'll see if it's a dumpster fire. You guys know how this type of stuff goes in wrestling. It's either solid and it passes. Sometimes it's really good. For example, Ronda Rousey, that was awesome. Her becoming a full-time women's wrestler. It had its downs towards the end for sure, but I think in the beginning, in the first run, it was fantastic. It led to the first ever women's main event of WrestleMania. It was fantastic. So we'll see how AJ and Big Justice, the Costco guys, do in AEW. We'll see. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I have high hopes for it. I'll tell you that much, I could see AEW trying to do too much here and it just being a shit show. But I hope not, I hope not. I hope it works out. I hope it works out for these guys because they seem like cool guys. And I enjoy AEW personally. So there you go. We got 2 more bits of news, guys. Stay with me here. Triple H announces the Crown Jewel Championship at WWE Bad Blood. What is the Crown Jewel Championship? Well, every year, WWE goes to Saudi Arabia 2 or 3 times. I believe it's 2. It may be 3. I don't know off the top of my head. One of those shows is called Crown Jewel every year. And Crown Jewel will be changing things up in 2024. You see, in 4 weeks, WWE will have the Crown Jewel event in Saudi Arabia. And for the first time, and for the foreseeable future moving forward, in the Crown Jewel Premium Live event, the World Heavyweight Champion will face the undisputed WWE Champion, and then the Women's World Champion will face the WWE Women's Champion. And the Crown Jewel Championship will go to the winner of those matches, respectively, of course. So Cody Rhodes, the undisputed WWE Champion, will be taking on the World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther, most likely. Gunther has a championship defense coming up on Raw, which we will get to in the watch list, but it's probably going to be Gunther. And Cody versus Gunther, WWE Champion versus World Heavyweight Champion is money. Sounds good to me. I am all for it. And then we got, potentially Liv Morgan taking on Nia Jax if one of those championships doesn't change hands in the next 4 weeks. That'll be cool. I think it's a good idea. The only negative I see about it is, you got to make one of your main champions look weak, right? Like, you got Cody Rhodes taking on Gunther. Like, it's kind of a hard, from a creative standpoint, it's hard. Like, who's going to win? Who's going to go over? And it's tough because they're both champions. Now, of course, that's from a creative standpoint. From a fan standpoint, it's awesome. It's like, oh, shoot, we're getting Cody versus Gunther, champion versus champion. Fantastic. It's going to be something we can look forward to every year for Crown Jewel. And yeah, I would encourage people to look at it from a fan standpoint and not a creative booking standpoint, because unless you work for WWE, you could just have fun with it. I'm very excited for Cody versus Gunther. And I wouldn't be surprised if Liv Morgan drops the Women's World Championship back to Rhea Ripley and we get Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax at Crown Jewel, which I think would be a super awesome match. Anywho, the Crown Jewel Championship, let me not get too sidetracked. He showed what the belt looks like, and the Crown Jewel Championship will go to the champion of champions, essentially. Either if the World Heavyweight Champion beats the WWE Champion, they get the Crown Jewel Championship as well. Same thing with the women. I don't think that this championship is going to exist outside of the Crown Jewel show itself, right? Like, it's going to build this champion versus champion match, these champion versus champion matches, I should say. But yeah, my hope at least is we don't see the Crown Jewel Championship after Crown Jewel. If Gunther beats Cody, which I think is the way to go personally, then Gunther will have the World Heavyweight Championship, and then he'll have the Crown Jewel Championship to hold up as well at the end of the show. But then we go into Raw and SmackDown the next week, and I hope we don't see the Crown Jewel Championship. It will just be too much. And I'm sure that's the route they're going. We'll find out, though. Anywho, the Crown Jewel Championship will be crowned at Crown Jewel. Oh, how corny is that? Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, it's a cool prop that facilitates the champion versus champion matches, but I don't want to see it on Raw and SmackDown after. They can brag about it. They can use it as credibility. Like, oh, I won the Crown Jewel Championship. I beat the undisputed WWE champion, or vice versa. But I don't want to see the World Heavyweight Championship and the Crown Jewel Championship on Gunther's shoulders. I want to see him hoist the title in Saudi Arabia and then leave the belt in Saudi Arabia. Kind of like they did with the Greatest Royal Rumble. They had a championship belt, if you remember, for the Greatest Royal Rumble. Braun Strowman won it. Braun Strowman hoisted it to close out the show, and then you never saw it again. That's perfect. That's perfect. One more bit of news, and then we'll get into the very exciting watch list. Kevin Owens attacks Cody Rhodes backstage after WWE Bad Blood. And I'm not going to lie, I'm excited for SmackDown. Heel Kevin Owens is the best. Kevin Owens, he's awesome. And I've been eagerly anticipating and awaiting this heel turn. But why not just do it on SmackDown? Like, I want to watch SmackDown to see Kevin Owens turn heel. Why do it backstage and then I go on Instagram and see a shaky cam video of, Kevin Owens attacking Cody Rhodes? I don't know. It's super nitpicky. Like, I'm not taking anything away from SmackDown. I'm still excited to see the fallout of that and have Kevin Owens explain himself on SmackDown. But I don't know. To me, like, at Bad Blood, you just had CM Punk take on Drew McIntyre. You just had The Rock return. Sit on that. Chill on that. That's some big stuff you got there. No, you sprinkle in Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes backstage. Like, not even as a part of the show. I don't know. I would have saved that. Wrestling never stops. There is no off season. You got to spread your shit out. But no, WWE decides to overload sometimes. And I'm not saying overload in a bad way at all. I'm just saying, like, it probably would have helped WWE to save this Kevin Owens heel turn for actual WWE programming, because it's a big deal, right? You just had The Rock come back. You just had a Hell in a Cell match for the freaking ages. There's no need to add more to that, especially outside of the program itself. I don't know. Maybe some of y'all think it's cool. Maybe some of y'all think like, oh, this is something different. We haven't seen this before. And I will agree. It's something different. We haven't really seen this before. Like a heel turn after the show populating on social media. It makes sense why they did it, I guess. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking old school. Quote unquote old school. Not even that old school. Anywho, that's the news for today, right? Bringing out the chatty side of me with the news today. Let's get into the watch list, guys. Pretty interesting. We only got 4 shows today. 4 shows this week, I should say. But let's start with Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw will be 2 hours from this point on for the rest of the year. And we got 3 money matches on a 2-hour Raw. I'm definitely watching Raw this week. Let me just say that. Sheamus faces Pete Dunne in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook. It's one of Sheamus's, he kind of a mouthful, but Sheamus and Pete Dunne are going to beat the shit out of each other in classic style, I guess. Jey Uso defends the Intercontinental Championship against Xavier Woods. Super awesome match, right? They've been teasing the heel turn with Xavier Woods. He's damn near heel at this point. And we'll see him take on main event Jey Uso for the IC title. Hell yeah. And last but not least, guys, and I would be shocked if this isn't the main event. Gunther defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Sami Zayn. Yeah, man, this Raw is going to be awesome. This is one of the coolest Raws that I've advertised on this show in a while. I'd definitely tune in if I was you. Nice 2-hour format, You guys know how I feel about the 3-hour Raws on a Monday. I'm not a big fan, so I'm going to enjoy the nice 2-hour format with 3 money matches. Super excited. If only Raw was staying 2 hours. That's all I'll say. We got NXT on Tuesday. We have Axiom and Nathan Frazier defending the NXT Tag Team Championship against A-Town Down Under. Now, this should be another fantastic match. Axiom and Nathan Frazier have been evolving into a solid tag team produced by NXT, and they'll be taking on A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, who are two fantastic pro wrestlers who come together to make A-Town Down Under a fantastic tag team. And then we have Obafemi defending the North American Championship against Tony D'Angelo. This is probably the most interesting North American Championship defense that Obafemi has yet to, defend. Wow, I really botched that. This is going to be a very interesting title defense for Obafemi. Obafemi and Tony D'Angelo is going to be awesome. North American Championship on the line. All right, AEW Dynamite, not on Wednesday, on Tuesday. AEW Dynamite Title Tuesday. Mercedes Moné faces Emi Sakura in a double title match, meaning Mercedes Moné will be defending both the TBS Championship and the New Japan Strong Women's Championship against Emi Sakura on AEW Dynamite Title Tuesday. We'll see if more title matches get announced, right? They're having the AEW Dynamite Title Tuesday just days before their WrestleDream pay-per-view. So, of course, they only have one title match. They can really only afford to have one title match because they got to sell the pay-per-view. If there's one show to skip this week, unfortunately, it's AEW Dynamite Title Tuesday. But I will say AEW Dynamite has been a very entertaining show over the past few months. So take that into account. Watch it, don't watch it. But last but not least, and this is a must-watch, AEW WrestleDream this Saturday afternoon, October 12th. The Young Bucks defend the AEW World Tag Team Championship against Private Party. And this match really came out of nowhere. I think Private Party could have used a little bit more of a build. I've been waiting a long time to see the Young Bucks versus Private Party again, to be honest with you. They had a fantastic match in 2019. I know they've wrestled since then, but to me, when I think Young Bucks Private Party, I think when Private Party defeated the Young Bucks in the AEW World Tag Team Championship tournament back in 2019, the early days of AEW. And I hope they're able to replicate some of that magic that they did in 2019. I can see Young Bucks versus Private Party being a money feud in the AEW tag team division. I don't think it's been that for the past 5 years. They've had one good match, like I said, in 2019. But, I'm hoping for the best with this. Like I said, I wish it had a little bit more build. You got to take your time with this stuff. You can't just throw it together. Unless this is the start of multiple matches between the Young Bucks and Private Party, and this is the beginning of a feud. Then I can allow it, or I can tolerate it. But really, I think this caliber of a match for the AEW World Tag Team titles deserves more of a build, especially if it's going to be on a pay-per-view. Will Ospreay defends the AEW International Championship against Ricochet and Konosuke Takeshita. Ricochet and Will Ospreay were unable to finish their match because it was interrupted by Konosuke Takeshita, and now we're going to have these three men fighting for the international title. I feel like Konosuke Takeshita really robbed the fans of Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. But nonetheless, I think these three men are going to put on a fantastic match. I just really hope we get Ricochet versus Will Ospreay at Full Gear. I think that is a pay-per-view worthy match. And I was all for having their first encounter in AEW on Dynamite last week. But I wasn't very happy with the DQ finish, right? That is such a 2019 WWE Vince McMahon move. And I hate to see AEW making those types of decisions. I'm going to call it like it is. Jack Perry defends the TNT Championship against Katsuyori Shibata. Katsuyori Shibata is probably Jack Perry's biggest challenge yet when it comes to the TNT Championship defenses of his. We'll see how it goes. I think it'll be a solid match. I'd love to see Jack Perry hang in there with Katsuyori Shibata from a in-ring technique standpoint. I think he did fine against Bryan Danielson. He more or less got his ass kicked, and that's what he was there for, right? He was in Chicago. Chicago hates Jack Perry. Jack Perry got his ass kicked against the AEW World Champion in the last pay-per-view. So Now it's time for Jack Perry to show us what he's got from an in-ring technique perspective with Katsuyori Shibata. And let's hope he delivers. I feel like I'm always saying that. Let's hope he delivers. I mean, they're putting him in the ring with talented wrestlers, and for the most part, he rises to the occasion, in my opinion. So we'll see, man. Katsuyori Shibata is a fantastic, strong style wrestler, and I think Jack Perry's going to get thrown around. He's going to take some chops, and let's see if his presence is able to match the intensity of Shibata. I wish the best for him. I really do. You know, it looks like he's going to have this TNT title for a long time. It looks like AEW thinks highly of him, putting him with the Young Bucks, putting him in the Elite. And we'll see what happens, essentially, guys. You know, like I said, I think Jack Perry's fine. I wish the best for him. I don't hate him like most people do. I just think, if you're put in this position, you got to show who you are. You got to kick some ass. You got to have that aura. You got to have that presence. And I haven't fully seen that from Jack Perry yet. I've seen bits and pieces. I've seen what it can be. I really have. But yeah, I want to see it all come together against Shibata. And we'll see if that happens. We got 2 more matches here for WrestleDream. We got Mark Briscoe defending the Ring of Honor World Championship against Chris Jericho. And then we got Bryan Danielson defending the AEW World Championship against Jon Moxley. I am here for Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley, AEW World Championship. That's what I'm here for. That's what stands out to me on this card. That is what has been magnificent in terms of build and what will absolutely deliver in terms of bell-to-bell action. That match alone is holding it down for AEW WrestleDream, as it should be. But honestly, I expected better from this card. I think Jack Perry versus Shibata will be solid. I don't know why Chris Jericho's wrestling for the Ring of Honor World title again. If he wins it, the eyes will roll so far in the back of my head that I will see my brain. And it really sucks because I love Chris Jericho. I really do, as a professional wrestler, love this guy. I just think he's being misused with the FTW Championship, the Ring of Honor World title in this case. I think, Mark Briscoe has been doing a good job with that Ring of Honor World title. I'm not even that mad that he's on this WrestleDream card. You guys know how I feel about Ring of Honor champions being on AEW shows. I think you should keep them separate. Or if you are going to lump everything in together, then you should find a better way to do so. Maybe having AEW Collision be Ring of Honor influenced heavily and ditch the Ring of Honor weekly show. I really think at this point, the Ring of Honor weekly show should be ditched or should be free on YouTube. I understand its existence. It's to give people reps that need the reps that aren't on Dynamite or Collision. But the presence of the brand is at an all-time low. I think there's so much potential there. You got pieces in the right places, such as Mark Briscoe being the world champion. You got 3 premium live events a year, which I think is fine. Every once in a while, I'll tune into Ring of Honor when it's live, when it's Death Before Dishonor or the Super Card of Honor. I think they're almost there. They just got to figure out a couple key things, and I really hope that they get there. All right, guys, you guys know the type of things that I rant about, and Ring of Honor these days is one of them. And I'm not saying that Ring of Honor is bad per se, because it's not. Like, it's very entertaining. I just think it could be so much more. I think that AEW and Ring of Honor can definitely play off each other. I just think that the way that it's happening right now is hurtful to Ring of Honor and hurtful to AEW. I hope they figure it out. And like I said, it's not even the fact that Mark Briscoe's defending the Ring of Honor World title on WrestleDream, which is an AEW pay-per-view. I think that's fine. It's just having Chris Jericho in that match, I think, is it's not good for Jericho, not good for Ring of Honor, not good for Mark Briscoe's title reign. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe they go and have a fantastic match, right? The way to shut me up as a critic. I think I wouldn't call myself a critic. I think I'm critical of the wrestling, but I wouldn't call myself a critic. I stay positive. I think a way to shut me up, like I was saying, is to go out there and have a freaking good match. So we'll see what happens. I will say this. I know it's been 35 minutes, guys. I'm sorry. If you want to leave right now, go ahead. I'm sorry. Have a good week. But I will say this. This is my idea of how Ring of Honor should go. All the AEW championships featured on Dynamite. All the Ring of Honor championships featured on Collision. Ring of Honor is more of an NXT without the titles. You just have, people wrestle on Ring of Honor. No championships. All Ring of Honor champions are featured on Collision. You could even change the name from AEW Collision to AEW Honor or something. Something that basically says this is AEW, but this is also Ring of Honor. Because whatever they're doing right now ain't working. And then, like I said, the Ring of Honor weekly show is just basically AEW Dark, people getting reps. And then what you do from a title defense standpoint is the 0 hour of these pay-per-views is Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor presents AEW WrestleDream 0 hour. And in there, that's where you have Mark Briscoe as the last match before the main card starts. Right? You have that on the 0 hour. You get rid of the Death Before Dishonor, Supercard of Honor. If you want to have Supercard of Honor, like the one event a year, because I know that Tony Khan would like to have his presence felt at the WrestleMania weekends, you keep Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor. That's the only Ring of Honor pay-per-view. Or, there's only 3 of them, so you can just keep them around, I guess, if you wanted to. But I think, you have these Ring of Honor titles, these Ring of Honor stories on Collision. Ring of Honor becomes AEW Dark. People get their reps. People build up to being featured on Collision and fighting for the Ring of Honor titles. And then the 0 hour of pay-per-views is Ring of Honor presents AEW pay-per-view 0 hour. That's the perfect way to do it. That's the perfect way to do it, I'm going to get out of here. I'm super ranty today, but I hope you guys had a good time watching, I hope you guys have a great week. Yeah. Take care, guys. I can't wait to talk about wrestling with you guys next week, and we'll see how AEW WrestleDream goes. We'll see how this 2-hour Raw goes. I think it's going to be a fantastic show, and we'll see how NXT continues to do. I think they've set themselves up for success, and I feel like this new era seems promising. So it's a good time to be a fan. Anywho, take care. Look both ways before you cross the street. Tell the people you love that you love them, and don't overthink it.